After the briefing by United States President Donald Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on July 14th. And especially after Trump gave Putin another 50 days to reach a peace agreement, during which Trump would not impose new sanctions or tariffs against the Kremlin and its partners. Some commentators began to suspect that Trump was actually playing along with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. Why is that? Because earlier, Putin told Trump that in the next 50 days he plans to expand the offensive in Ukraine, aiming to completely capture 4 regions of our country. On the other hand, there's also the China factor in this pause, because the tariffs promised by Trump, the secondary tariffs, will hit China the hardest. That's why Beijing has both the time and the motivation to reason with the Russian dictator and Moscow as a whole to stop this war. In this episode, we'll analyze the main points from today's press conference with Donald Trump and Mark Rutte. My name is Pechey. Today is July 14th. Let's go through it all step by step. We'll analyze these statements specifically. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave any comment, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechey News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we post breaking news as it comes in. So, the main takeaway from today's briefing by the American president can be summed up like this. Trump came up with a brilliant idea to sell American weapons to European countries, which will then transfer them to Kyiv. The United States President announced the plan at a meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte today, on Monday. And he also set a new deadline for Russia, threatening trade consequences if a peace agreement with Ukraine is not reached within 50 days. Next, I will quote Trump. "We will impose very tough tariffs if we do not reach an agreement within 50 days. The tariffs are about 100%. You could call these secondary tariffs. Do you know what that means? Does that mean that secondary tariffs primarily affect Russia's partners such as China, India, Brazil, Turkey, and everyone else who continues to buy Russian oil and gas? And Trump says that in 50 days, if there is no peace agreement, you will have to suffer from this. And you will have to choose either the American market or helping Putin." And later, a White House representative explained that when the United States president talked about secondary tariffs, he meant 100% tariffs for Russia and the same 100% secondary tariffs for other countries that buy Russian oil. As for weaponry, according to a person familiar with the discussions, aside from the Patriot missile systems, which are the main item on Kyiv's wish list, the United States may also sell short-range missiles, howitzer shells, and medium-range air-to-air missiles to NATO members, which would then be transferred to Ukraine by European partners. Interestingly, according to officials, the motives behind Trump's decision on weapons are multifaceted. First, by selling weapons to European countries instead of sending them directly to Ukraine. Trump hopes to shield himself from political criticism that he is allegedly breaking his campaign promise to reduce the United States' role in Russia's years-long war against Ukraine. They say Trump promised he wouldn't be a participant in the war, and so he's not a participant. Actually, he's selling weapons to the Europeans, and what the Europeans do with them is their own business. Trump is also counting on financial gain, because each Patriot missile system costs about $1 billion, and Trump has already praised the profits for the United States under this scheme. American officials also noted that it would be faster to deliver Patriot systems to Ukraine if they are already located in Europe, and not to ship them from the United States or produce them at American factories. Well, at least according to some United States officials, supplying Ukraine with a large amount of new weapons could send a signal to Moscow that Trump is serious about his disappointment in President Vladimir Putin of Russia, whom the American leader accused of spreading nonsense last week. The plan was seriously discussed during the NATO summit in the Netherlands last month, where Trump met with European leaders and the president of Ukraine for the negotiations, which, according to sources, were surprisingly productive. But in fact, this whole plan for the Americans to transfer weapons to the Europeans and then for the Europeans to transfer them to Ukraine originated several months ago, right after Donald Trump won last year's election. At that time, European officials began to devise a way to continue military support for Ukraine, even if Trump weakened Washington's role as he promised when he was a presidential candidate. And for the past 2 weeks, officials in the United States and Europe have been working out the details of implementing this plan. NATO, I remind you, does not supply weapons to Ukraine itself, but acts as a coordination center coordinating deliveries from individual member countries. The mechanism for transferring weapons may involve European countries handing over weapons already purchased from the United States and replacing them with new shipments from the Americans. Or Europeans can purchase new American weapons for immediate transfer to Ukraine. Among the countries already claiming participation in this scheme are Germany and Norway. These are the ones who have publicly announced it. But according to officials, at least 4 more unnamed countries will join the project. Last week, Trump spoke with the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz. And Merz stated during the phone conversation that he expects the United States to supply the Patriot system to Germany so that Germany can quickly transfer them to Ukraine. On Thursday, Trump discussed the same topic with Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General. And it is known that this week the German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius is arriving in the United States, who will continue to discuss this very initiative. It is obvious that the deal has practically already been made. Germany is purchasing 2 Patriot systems and transferring them to Ukraine. Later, Rutte spoke with high-ranking United States military officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane. This is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to discuss the details of implementing this plan in more detail. But regarding Trump's postponement of tariffs against Russia and its partners for 50 days, conspiracy theories have already emerged. The point is that, according to the publication, during a phone conversation on July 3rd, the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin told United States President Donald Trump that in the next 60 days he plans another escalation in eastern Ukraine to reach the administrative borders of the regions that Putin, for some reason, considers his own. Putin made it clear that he plans further escalation in the war with Ukraine over the next 60 days. This statement was made on July 3rd. In particular, Trump told French President Emmanuel Macron that Putin will once again attempt to occupy territory over the next 60 days, within the administrative borders of Ukrainian regions where Russia has a significant foothold. And the United States President then told Macron that Putin wants to take all of this. It's just simple math. Putin announced 60 days to Trump on July 3rd, and Trump announced a 50-day delay on July 14th. So, supposedly, Trump subtracted the 10 days that had already passed since the phone conversation from Putin's 60 days and postponed for the remaining 50 days. You can look at this in different ways, but on the other hand, 50 days is also a pass to China. The thing is, China has only recently started to sort out its trade war with the United States. And now Washington says that if Putin doesn't make a deal, doesn't agree to a peace agreement, we will impose a 100% tariff against China for buying Russian gas and Russian oil. So it's in China's own interest. During these 50 days, it's still not too late to stop and reason with the dictator Putin. In any case, as we can see, Trump is once again giving Putin a chance to get out of the war, as they say, saving face without a complete defeat or being destroyed by his own Kremlin elites. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and thoughts on this topic in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like if you want to support the work of this channel. You can do this by donating on any platform. Choose any platform that's convenient for you using the links and details in the description of this video or by scanning the QR code on your screen. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.